positive now. We'll begin as well. That's it, like.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. I'm pressing the live now.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ekaterina Larsson. I am a writer and a journalist, and we are starting a series. It is called Top Drops Stories. We'll invite interesting people, and you can hear interesting stories. Right now with me in the studio, I have Ulf Stenerhag. He's the CEO of Not For Sale Ale. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we can start first with why is it called Not For Sale Ale? Because the first time I heard about it was like, wait, it's a beer, but it's not for sale. So
yeah, it's a bit of provocative name, and the idea behind the beer is to create a beverage or create a product or a brand or a company that is only designed to do good. And by saying that, it's a beer brand where we would like to give or invest 100% of our profit to the fight against human trafficking. So it's a brand that is only designed for that purpose.
But you can actually buy the beer somewhere.
Yes. So the name is actually just telling the story about what it's for, and the beer is for sales, but humans are not.
Okay, great. Can you tell us where did it all start? Was it something in your childhood?
That's a very long story, but it's actually started quite long ago, where I was inspired by a man called with the name Chief Oren Lyon, a Native American chief that is quite famous for having speeches in UN or in World Economic Forum. And he was at the World Economic Forum meeting for big corporates. And in this meeting I've heard, and whether it's a true story or not, I don't know, but it's a very good story. And he was in this meeting. There was only men, of course, above 65 with suit and ties. And he was asking a question after a while that, and looked at one of them and said, "You are a grandfather, I presume?" And he said, "Yes, I'm a grandfather. So can you please help me out here? There is something I don't understand. Where from your home to your work do you stop being a grandfather in kilometers?" And that really touched me, because I cannot see how you can have one type of values at home, and then you go to your office and make things that is not good for your grandkids. And my brain is not big enough to be a different person in different areas. So I decided very early to work with personal values, and that work with personal values is really the what is starting all this. But that's a long story to where it sparks. But that's the background, really.
Okay, but you were telling me, for example, about your grandfather, that he was kind of this big miner. He was a tree hugger. So do you have that in your DNA kind of thing?
Well, I guess that there is something in the DNA, or there's something in the culture, and especially in Sweden, where we are so much connected to nature, and where nature is a good source of inspiration, but also a good guide to what to do. So I have always leaned towards nature to get this inspiration, but also leaned towards the native peoples, or the traditional peoples, how they could have ideas of surviving on this planet so long without jeopardizing the planet. So I've always been inspired by indigenous people and also the nature.
And you have another company that you
Yes, that's
work
correct.
at. You're a CEO of a technical company, and you told me that you decided at some point that you want your company to do something good, or you to do good.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's once again connected to the personal values. I decided quite long time ago that our company, or my company, that is doing technology for production sites in the pharmaceutical area or in life science area, and in the chemical sector as well, I wanted I want my company to be put to base the strategy on our personal values, not personal values that we all agree on, but really what is driving myself and my colleague. Why do we go to work? And for me, I had the opportunity during an exercise in the Finnish archipelago, once again using nature as a source, but also another tool that is extracting our personal values. And I found out for me, I really wanted to work with curiosity and responsibility. And curiosity, I really wanted us to participate as being customers. We are selling things, and I really wanted my staff to understand what is the daily, what are the days looking like as our customers, so that we could support them.
Yeah.
And the other part was working with responsibility. I realized that responsibility is not an academic thing after I got kids. It's actually something you have to practice. So I decided that we should invite people that has made something good for the society to inspire us to do something good as well.
Okay.
So that was two things that I really wanted to do. I wrote them down, but I kind of forgot them over the years, because when you come back for such a nice event, you have a pile of papers or emails or whatever, but it never really left my brain. So I had this idea of doing good.
It stayed with you.
It stayed with me, yeah.
And when did you act upon it?
So then it was the spark that actually created the Not for Sale project or movement or brand. I was in Shanghai with a customer of mine from the technology company, and we were out having a dinner in a nice place in the middle of Shanghai. I went to the restroom and came back. We actually had a beer afterwards in the bar there in the restaurant. And when I come back, besides my friend, there is a girl trying to sell herself. She was a prostitute. And even in this, let's say, nice restaurant atmosphere, people are so there's a lot of prostitution in Shanghai for sure. And I know that my friend is a bit shy, so I decided that I will walk there and I will tell her to leave. But when on my way there, I decided that I don't have to be rude. I can be kind. So I told her that, okay, you have to be sure that nothing will happen here. There will be no transaction or whatever, but you can stay here. And I was pretty sure that she was going to leave, but actually she didn't. She stayed, and she told her story that she's been brought from Zimbabwe to Shanghai, like a bag or a shoe or a jewelry or whatever kind of product. Worked as a prostitute 7 days a week for 14 days. Then her pimp sends her to the airport, flying to Macau. There's another guy making sure that she flies back, started to work again because she don't have any visa. So, and I was quite disturbed by that story. I didn't realize the world looked like that. So I decided that I should do something about it. So when I came home, I kind of made this promise, so things start to move then.
But why beer then? Why not another product?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So when I came home, I started to contact newspapers, broadcasting houses or whatever, because I thought it was an interesting story. Once again, Africa, into new capitalistic society, Shanghai, that is actually taking slaves from Africa to China now. But nobody really wanted to write about it. It was not like the newspapers were filled up with Donald Trump then, but it was something else. So then I realized that I had met a guy that actually have an organization called Not for Sale. I met him for 2 minutes. We exchanged business cards. He told me shortly that they are working against human trafficking, and they are doing it in a very progressive way. So they are starting companies that actually are sustaining the fight against human trafficking.
Okay.
So I decided I will call him and I will get some advice from him. But he told me, you cannot do anything for that lady, but you can do something in general. So I decided that, okay, this nice idea of doing good, inviting people that I had some years ago, I will ask him to come to my office and to have a speech, because I know that he will say no, because he's only doing these speeches for Google and for Twitter and the big companies, And then I have cleaned my conscience and I promised my thing and I've done it. So unfortunately he said yes. He came over, he had this brilliant speech for our staff and for some other people that we invited. And I thought that I've done my thing. So it's over, I've done my thing, I promised I've done it. But then he ends with the seminar by saying that this is what we do, so what do you do? So I said, oh shit, excuse the language, but do I have to do more? So I invited him for lunch, and during the lunch I realized the other idea I had of being a customer or training being a customer for my staff. And I said that why not make a beer? My staff could be brewing, we could make a campaign, we can call it not for sale ale, and we give away 100% of the profit to the organization.
Okay.
And Dave Batstone, the founder, said that's a brilliant idea, and he went home.
Okay.
So I was there in Stockholm, made all this promise, and we decided to make a beer.
But why beer? Why not kombucha or
At that moment, I must be honest to say, I wanted to do something with my staff, and we are working against the brewing industry a bit, so that was connected to my work at my technology company, and also the catchy name, and that we wanted to do something.
Okay.
So it was a number of coincidences that was actually matching, but afterwards we realized, and it's a long story to that, but afterwards we realized that probably beer is one of the most interesting products to move out to good in this field, because we reach out everywhere, more or less everywhere. Not everyone drinks beer, but a lot of people drink beer, and it's under casual circumstances, and it's also in situations where actually the problem occur. So we realize that we can enter into bar like Trojan horses and hopefully change even the dialogue there.
Good, very good idea. And some of your first clients, they were the king and the queen of Sweden?
Yes, so I decided that we should make a small campaign. Once again, I would like to make 400 bottles. I promised to do something, and then the project is over. So I said, let's make something extraordinary. We made 400 bottles, and I was able to get the king and queen of Sweden to be the first customer at the leadership seminar that the king is arranging, called Value-Based Leadership, where 250 of the most influential leaders in Sweden are. So I was able to bring David Batstone there from the organization as a speaker, and we were able to serve the beer at the Royal Castle. And once again, I thought that it's fantastic we are able to do this awareness campaign, and then the project is over. And then after the speech of day, we served the beer, and then all of these people came in a queue to me and said, it's a brilliant project. I really would like to have this product in my hotel chain. Where can I buy it? I said, no, it's not for sale, please. So we realized there and then that we cannot really stop it. It's already ongoing.
It has its own life.
Yeah, it's a powerful brand. And once you've taken a step, you see everything from a new perspective. So it's very difficult to go backwards. So then we decided, okay, let's make a brand. Let's, maybe in a small scale, but let's make a brand and continue to build a company that is taking care of that, and let's see where it goes.
Okay. And there was a story with your garden involved. What is that story?
Yes, that's an interesting story, because in this happened, all these things are happening in maybe a couple of months' time, and moving from a situation where I just want to do what I promised to becoming, let's say, or I had an idea of beginning to be saving the world in some perspective. And working with a problem that is far away. I didn't realize we had it here in Sweden. So it's a far away problem. I'm here to help. I'm really not connected to the problem. It's far away. In the meantime, I had a situation in my own garden where I was pressured by some people that wanted to sell garden work. And I said, no, we don't need any garden work. And the guy was really skilled in selling. So finally I told him that, okay, I would build a wall over here next year, but I don't have the money. And I knew that the wall would cost around 50,000 Swedish crowns. And he said, okay, how much do you have? And then I thought I was clever. I'm going to say, I say 15,000, and then I know he will disappear. But he said, 15,000, it's a deal. And I said, hey, then I need to have it on an invoice and everything should be correct. And said, no problem, and he runs away.
Okay.
I said, what did really happen? The day after, a bus load of Romanian people comes and just flooding our garden while I'm on my way to the work. I cannot stop. My wife is at home. She's a professional musician, freelance. So, and she was curious about these people. So she went out with a computer, with Google Translate, asked, where do you come from? How do you clean your clothes? How much do you get paid? Do you have families? How do you contact? Where do you live? How much do you earn? So she got the full story, and we realized these were slaves under the same condition as the girl in Shanghai.
Okay.
It was not sex industry, it was construction industry.
Yeah.
So while I was trying to save the world with a problem over there, I had slaves in my own garden.
Okay.
And then I realized that it's a problem we have everywhere, and also realized that it's one of the biggest social problem we have on the planet right now. We actually have more slaves now than ever. I thought the slavery was gone.
Yeah. Is this when you decided that the profits will not go only to anti-trafficking, but they would go to other projects as well?
We always said that 100% will go to fight modern day slavery and
Okay.
human trafficking. So, and some people connected should be the same. So, but it's actually all the profit is invested in anti-slavery projects,
Okay.
and it's still like that. But it's not dedicated to the sex industry or to the construction industry or whatever.
Any type of industry that
Any type of slavery we have. If we look in the stores, we buy very, very cheap drilling machines or T-shirts, and we just need to figure out who is actually paying that.
Okay. And the next question is, why did you decide to start with a small shop in the countryside in Sweden as a test market?
Actually, it's a small place called Stjärnsund. It's where I have my country house, where I relax, where I get my strength back during summer. So it was so much going on during this summer, so I decided to take a holiday. So we were in the royal castle. We were able to had a speech at TEDx. We were involved in this big political platform, Almedalen in Sweden. We were interviewed by all the newspapers. So I said, it seems like the beer can have a place in all these fancy places. But what about going to the countryside in a very small shop? Is it really the beer of the people?
Okay.
And I wanted to have a break. So I said that let's go there, and I went to the owner of this small shop and I said that I have 8 boxes of 24 bottles each. Could you try to sell them, but don't tell anyone what it is? So he put them, let's say, behind all these things inside there. Yeah. It was very difficult to find. And 2 days later, all of them were gone in a village of 200 people or even less.
Wow.
So I was astonished by that, and I contacted the local media who went there, and then it was on the front news. The kiosk in Stjärnsund against human trafficking. Everyone can do something. And then I start crying. And I realized I cannot stop doing this.
Of course. Cool. And I know you have an ambassadors network now.
Yes.
How did it start, and what does the network do?
It's also an interesting part of the story. I decided very early that I will never say no to people, because during the project I had phone calls every day from companies saying, I really want to help out pro bono, how can I help? From people on the streets, how can I help? And in my normal work as a CEO, it seems like there is a curse. I only say no to everything. We don't have resources, we don't have time, we don't have...
Yeah.
For those of you who are CEO, you know. But this project, I decided to say yes to everything. And if you say yes to everything, you have to direct people so that they can do something. And I decided, let's start up an ambassador program or network so that people can connect to each other and start to do initiatives. But as I don't know anything about ambassadorship, I know how ambassadorship not work, because I've been an ambassador for some NGOs.
Okay.
But I decided then as well, so yes, we have an ambassador program, but you have to design it yourself. Because another thing I told very early in this project, I will never tell people what to do. I've been trying to do that so many years, and I know what's happening with the commitment. It has to come from the people themselves. They have to own their future. So I said that, okay, we have an ambassador program. I don't know what it's about. You have to do it yourself. And then it started to grow. Especially there is a particular case in Uganda where we met a person called Raymond Kagomire. and who was really inspired. And I know his sister, so she directed me to him. And he called me and said, I really want to do something here, and could you please explain the concept? And I tried to explain, and I didn't really know the concept, what it was all about, the beer, human trafficking. So, and he told me, yes, I understand. And he hung up, and the day after he calls me and said, I don't understand. So I explained to him again, I probably didn't understand as well, and he said, okay, I understand. He hung up, he calls me the next day, I don't understand. And we kept on doing this, and were forming and drilling the ideas, what is ambassadorship, what is all this about. And he became really the first inspiring leader in our ambassadorship program. So in a couple of weeks later, he fully understands what it's all about. He calls me and said, I need t-shirts, because we didn't have the beer in Uganda then.
Yeah.
He said, okay, he wants t-shirt. I said, let's see what I can do. And we hang up, and I was, let's say, taking the strategy, let's wait a couple of days, maybe he forgets about the t-shirt. And he calls me and he said, I really need a t-shirt now. We are 10 ambassadors. Okay, so, and we hang up, and I waited a bit more, and he calls me and said, we are 30 now. I said, oh my God, we probably need to send that t-shirt now.
Yeah.
So we printed the t-shirt, and he calls me and said, we are hundreds now. So we printed a lot of t-shirt down there, and they started to do some amazing work in Rotary clubs, at universities, being invited in parliament in Rwanda, and a lot of other scenes. So they started to do things that I could never imagine to do. And it was all connected to a beer brand, but also this social good, or the NGO not for sale. So it was a mix of everything. But still they didn't have the beer.
And did you send it to them?
Well, I sent a big crate of beer, and actually it ended up in a beer festival. And I went there, at the same time we decided to make a launch, and we found a production partner in Kampala, because this guy Raymond and his team, they were fighting so hard to get the product down, so we could not resist in the end. So we said, let's find a production partner there. We ended up with all the beers at the festival, and we actually sold more beer than Heineken then, which is kind of weird. And actually during the launch, the whole media scene in Uganda was there. I was totally surprised by finding the 3 biggest news stage on TV waiting for us there, and behind them were all the newspapers, and behind them were all the radio stations. So during a weekend we were on all media platforms in Uganda for a beer that almost doesn't exist.
Yeah. So the production in Uganda, do you control the quality of the beer there and things like that? Or?
Yes, let's say partly we control it.
Okay.
We have the recipes, we have our ambassadors that is controlling, but mainly we trust the partners we have to control the beers themselves. Okay. And it's good quality, and it's brewed at Yasigi Beer Garden.
Okay.
And they have after work, not for sale ale, after work every Friday. And all of you are welcome to Kampala, to Yasigi Beer Garden, to come to this after work and try our nice beer.
Let's go.
It's a beautiful place.
One day, maybe. Do you know what the big brands are saying about your beer? Like, I don't know, Carlsberg or...
Well, I had one comment actually from a commercial responsible, I think he was commercially responsible for East Africa from Heineken. He went to our booth and he told me, or actually he actually told Raymond, our head ambassador, that I don't think your brand is going to work. And just then we realized that it's absolutely going to work.
Of course.
Because if you feel threatened, of course there's something to it.
Yeah.
But basically we are so small that we are under any kind of radar there is. Okay. But I'm pretty sure it's like Mahatma Gandhi saying that first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they start fighting you, and we are not in that area now, and then you win.
Okay. You will win.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, I asked you this, but maybe you can tell us again. What projects exactly would the money go to? Do you know?
Actually, we are the driver to create financial means to the organization Not for Sale.
Okay.
As a first, let's say, priority. We can do our own project, but our work in terms of impact is to make the bottle to be a carrier of the awareness,
Okay.
to be this Trojan horse. And later on, we would like to incorporate also to be able to hire people in vulnerable areas. But that's kind of our vision. So right now we are in a startup case. But if we have positive result, our money goes to Not for Sale, and they distribute it in their project worldwide.
The way they see.
The way they see.
Okay.
And they have projects in San Francisco. It's a San Francisco-based organization, but globally. They have a project in Amsterdam, in Romania, in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Uganda now, probably a part of our work down there. So they decide on which projects the money should go, and they work with everything from rescuing to supporting people back to a normal life, also job introduction. But their main focus and our main focus is preventive work, to go into vulnerable areas to make sure that nobody gets into trafficking.
Have you been with them to any of these projects?
Yes, I've been to Amsterdam several times, and I've been to San Francisco.
It's a good transparency to see, like, where
Yes,
the
but
money goes.
I think that our focus, to be very honest, our focus right now has been very much on creating the brand, and we need, of course, in the coming months or coming years, to really to connect more and more deeply together, and maybe even develop a project together from our commercial side and from their NGO side.
Okay. And I also know that you had a Kickstarter campaign. How
Yes.
did that go?
We had the idea, because we are still in the startup phase, we are growing organically, and we don't need big resources to kick off or to make the company work. But we really wanted to find a way to finance a faster growth or to build up the global distribution network, because distribution is key. Right now we have a very, very good production. The beer is produced mainly at De Molen in Holland, one of these, let's say, world recognized beer brand. They were chosen to be number 6 in the world, and they do, let's say, magic craft beer. And if you haven't tried it, try them out. All of them are magic, and even our beer that they make. So we wanted really to finance a faster growth. And I personally had difficulties of moving to the bank to create big loans, running the company in red figures for a while. And for me, it feels like we are loaning money from the victims then. So I wanted this to be cash positive or result positive from the beginning. And then Kickstarter was a good alternative. But it turned out we failed. And there is probably a different reason for failing. But we learned something, I'm sure. And one of the things is that our message was really appreciated. People were sharing it so many times. But most of the people recognized that we probably don't need the money so much. Okay. That was one thing. And the other thing, that what do I get in return? So I really want to, we cannot send beer over Kickstarter. So people really would like to participate in changing their beer brand. That's it. So right now we're back to square one. We are growing organically, a little bit slower now, but we are looking into alternatives on financial solution to speed up as well.
Okay. Are you looking into getting investors on board?
Yes, for sure. We would be very much open to finding investors coming year, I would say, to speed up. And once again, as we have everything, we have the production units which can scale up beautifully. We have the distribution network in many, many countries right now. You can even see the beer in UK, in Spain, in Holland, in Sweden, in Bulgaria, in Finland right now. So we are already out in many, many places, but we need support to grow the brand.
Okay. So we'll follow you and see what happens.
Let's follow us. We will be happy if you are following us. And you can following us on Instagram or Facebook, or we even have a Gather account right now.
And I even have a Gather account. I didn't know that.
Perfectly. So check it out, and you will learn more than I know about it, I'm sure.
You also told me that now you have spin-offs from Not for Sale Ale.
Yes.
What are they?
Well, I personally realized when I was in San Francisco having a speech at the university there that my background as a industrial, more industrial background, building plants, I really don't know so much about consumer brands, branding, consumer goods, even beer. So one of the students were asking me, why don't you make plants so that you can provide entrepreneurs to build their own brands?
Mm-hmm.
And I was really considering that this is something I should do. And the week after I was in Uganda at another beer festival, and I just realized there at the rugby field at this wonderful beer festival that suddenly I know all the people involved in the industry, like the entrepreneurs who want to build the brands, the distributors, the producers, and so on. So right now we are putting together a company called Craft Africa, where we are making actually pre-mounted containers for entrepreneurs so they can start their own brand. And it's on rental. A beer, yeah.
Yeah.
We will start with a beer. You will later on even have juice.
Okay.
We have inside the beer container, there is also possibility to make flavored water.
Okay.
So this is a solar panel driven thing with where you can clean the water, and actually the entrepreneur can just open the door on this it's a pre-mounted container, start brewing, and there is a bar inside as well.
Okay. Cool. And when do you find the time for all this? I know you have a family, you have 3 daughters,
Yes.
and you have like 2 jobs almost.
On the way to work, in the bus, on the airport. I think my mind is wired like that. I'm constantly thinking. So, but for sure, there is a lack of time. So there is a need to distribute to other people or to be more efficient and actually stop some initiatives as well. But for sure, right now there is plenty enough to do.
Yeah. Do you have like a strategy for the next few years for Not For Sale Ale?
Well, the strategy for me for Not For Sale Ale is actually to come up to a level where we can start employing people.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure that even though I'm an initiator of the project, I'm probably not the best person, or I know I'm not the best person to run the company into the next phase.
Mm.
So we will look for skilled people that have the experience of building global brands.
Mm.
And I will take for sure one step aside, or being more working in the board, or being more like working with the ambassador teams or whatever. I will for sure always be there, but there are more skilled people taking over, I'm pretty sure, in the coming years.
Yeah, they can take over your baby.
Yes.
From you. Okay, so if I want to buy the beer now, today or tomorrow, where can I find it?
So in Sweden, all of you who are from Sweden, you can buy it at Systembolaget, the stronger version. You can also buy it at mathem.se and some ICA stores and so on, the weaker one, which is 3.4. And for the restaurant owners, if there is anyone here, you can buy it at Galatea or Martin and Servera. So most of the restaurants or hotels or cafes can buy it in their, let's say, regular sourcing way.
Okay.
So we have worked intensively now the last couple of months to make sure to be able to do that. And once Sweden is stabilized, we can then move on to next countries. But you can find the beer from distributors all around Europe. And you can find the beer, if necessary, in other places in the world. Just let us know where you want to see the beer, and we will make sure to get it there.
You ship it there.
We ship it there, or I come there with a box.
Yeah. I forgot to say that for those of you watching us, you can actually type questions, and then we can open for a Q&A session soon.
Yeah, we'll be happy to have some question marks from you.
Yes, and answer some questions. I think I kind of asked you a little bit. But do you want to add anything on your
Where did you hear about the beer?
Okay, I was helping the Impact Hub Stockholm with digital communications, and first I heard about Not For Sale Ale, and then we had it on events. And I tried it, I liked the beer, but like I was always wondering, like, Not For Sale Ale, what is that? I mean, it's beer, you have to be able to buy it somewhere. And then, now kind of 2 years later, you started 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I was contacted by Top Drops and said, would you like to interview Ulf? I'm like, of course, I have heard so much about him, so I have to interview him.
Oh, that's wonderful, thank you so much. It's really nice to be here at the first Top Drops.
Ever, first ever, it's the beginning.
That's really. No, but back to the name, as you said, it is an provocative or peculiar name, and I still believe that there is a lot into it, because if people start wondering what is it all about, you are already on their attention span.
Of course.
So and sometimes even if people don't buy the beer, they considering what it's for, and they start to speak about trafficking, the problems and so on.
Yeah.
And I think that we can, with the beer, and I really hope that we can, be like a Trojan horse, so we can change the dialogue. Imagine you find the beer at your home, at the party, somebody comes with it. I've tested it several times. The first 30 minutes discussion is about human trafficking and how we can deal with it. And if you are in a bar, I'm pretty sure if somebody buys it or see it, they start speaking about this problem. And even if they don't deal with it, it's on their mind. And I have one story I would like to share, because, and I think this is important for understanding why beer. And I was at this beer festival in Uganda. We had our booth where we were selling the beer. We had our wonderful ambassadors that did a really wonderful jobs of putting everything together, bringing people there, handling the media and everything like that, without any participation from our side or guidance or whatever. They did it much more beautiful than we could ever have imagined. And at the beer festival, like at any beer festival, I guess people get together. They drink. Some of them drink a little bit too much, and even if they don't drink too much, some of them get a little bit loud and a little bit rough. And there was a bunch of guys entering into our booth, a little bit of these loud guys type of gang.
Yeah.
And they started to be a little bit funny about the thing that why can you not buy humans? I would like to buy one, and so on. And our staff really said that, well, we don't think it's okay.
Of course.
Very, very clear. Like, they had this argument for half an hour, and this laughing bunch of rough people, they changed their dialogue. So when they went away from there with a beer in their hand, the dialogue within the group was completely different. I don't think that will change the world, but it's if we can change the dialogue among people, I think that is necessary part.
A little bit at a time.
Yes.
And do you know if you have any competitors, people brewing beer for good?
No, I heard about the beer that is actually giving the money to preserve a lake up in the north of Sweden. I'm not sure if it's still there. I've also heard about there is some initiative from Mikkeler, I think, for a campaign. Okay. And I'm pretty sure people will of course following this, and I would be super happy if everybody. So if Carlsberg or Heineken are listening,
want to do it,
please take these over. Then I don't have to do the job. Then you will save the planet, and I can rest and take care of my family. Exactly. So I would be happy to do that. And I don't see them as competitors. It's colleagues. If they are trying to do whatever they can to do bad things with beer, then they are our competitors.
Yeah, of course. But healthy competition, you encourage that.
For sure, it's always good. It's inspire us to do better, and I'm really appreciating every kind of competition we can have.
Great. I'm waiting for some questions in case there are any. My assistant Olena will probably bring them.
Yeah. We are waiting for them to come down. So in the meantime, just keep on flooding with your questions so that we have a lot of things to answer coming minutes here.
But you're flying soon.
I'm flying to Copenhagen. Yeah.
What are you going to do there?
Well, I'm going to work with my engineering company. I have a meeting on Monday, and then I have a speech about the beer in Malmö on Tuesday, and then I'm back in Stockholm on Wednesday.
Wow. Cool life. Then we do some after work on Friday with Not For Sale Ale.
For sure.
Yes.
Do we have some questions?
Yes, I will read them.
Yes.
All right, so there's one question from Mika Leonard. Hey, where can we buy Not For Sale Ale? I think we answered that question.
Yeah, but once again, to be sure, if it's about Sweden, it's Systembolaget. It's on the beställningssortimentet. Yes. So you order and then Systembolaget get it to the store. If you want like the weaker version, which is 3.4, you can go to mathem.se and order it. If you are a restaurant or a hotel or anybody would like to serve the beer, you go to Galatea or to Martin and Servera. or you give us an email or an SMS or contact us, and we will make sure to provide you the beer for sure. If you're outside Sweden, you can contact us or you can send us an email, and we will provide you with the details where you can get the beer.
And if you want to buy it in large quantities, is it the same distributors?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same distributors. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can always contact us on. Now we have an account on Gather, so you can figure out how to contact us there, and we will provide you with information as soon as ever possible. We will be very happy to get the beer into your neighborhood.
Yes. Do we have any more questions?
Let's see. One question about how do you make sure that it actually is received, like the money for charity, that
Yep.
it actually gets received and used well.
Yeah, that's a question we always get. We get two questions, and one is about alcohol, and one is about do we make sure that the money goes to the right source.
Yeah.
We are sure that it goes to the right source because we are working with Not for Sale in that area, and Not for Sale are sure and also provides information on their webpage in their reports. So, and for to be very sure, we will also once in a while do due diligence on the ground. But it's a small organization, and we know very well where the money goes. And one example is that we actually provided money to one area ourselves. We were supporting initiatives in Uganda to start up an organization called Not for Sale Uganda, an NGO. And we know perfectly well that all the money was well received there. They have arranged to set up this organization with this money. Small amount of money, but anyway. They have been able to start up to do a lot of groundwork and to do a lot of strategy work. But this work that they have made actually provide us with a connection that Not for Sale had, that was making an investment of 1 million pound sterling over 10 years time in a refugee camp, which is starting off quite soon. So it's not our money, but it's actually something that we put the money in the NGO that was able to, together with Not for Sale and our work, to attract other money.
Wow, that's great. We need more results like that.
Yes, for sure. And we are at the very early, let's say we are in a very early stage. And of course, we need to continuously develop our metrics on how we actually see the impact. Right now, we are in a phase where we are open to any kind of metrics. We want to make impact, and we haven't decided on how we make impact. We leave it up to Not for Sale, and we are partnering with them in that field. But I would be very happy in the coming years if we develop our own metrics to measure the work we do together with Not for Sale and the work we do on our own as well.
But for now, you're creating employment, at least.
We are in a very early stage there as well. So the employment that we have been able to attract here is in Sweden. So that's not really considered as help in that respect.
Okay.
But we are working in Uganda so that we as soon as possible can start hiring people there. We're working in other fields. But it is still a long-term project for us to get into employment. But it's something that we really target.
Okay. And if there are no more questions, I can wrap it up. Thank you very much for being with us, Ulf.
Thank you for being here.
We will follow you. I want to know in 2 years from now what happens.
We will be everywhere. It's actually our hashtag. Be everywhere, and hashtag Not for Sale Ale, of course. But be everywhere is our motto.
Be great. You have to be everywhere.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for listening,
Yes.
for viewing.
And watching us. We'll see you next weekend or the weekend after. One of those.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.